And action. Bing. Welcome to the Action Podcast. This is episode 5. And if you missed some of our other episodes, make sure you check them out. We just reviewed the original Jurassic Park. So if you have not checked that out, please do. Also, please subscribe and help support us. We are, starting from scratch. We're starting from the bottom here, but we've gotten good reception so far, and we're hoping to continue to acquiesce to the fans. That's a big part of why we're doing this podcast, is to help you figure out what to watch, and also, hopefully you join along and comment. We're coming up with lists and categories and things of that nature, and we're hoping you guys will also chip in and give us your opinion, because that's what makes this stuff fun, is the debating and top. Like, the categories we have today were extremely tough and
very difficult.
Very difficult. So, that's what makes this fun, though. These are nice dinner table conversations that you can have with your family. So please make sure you comment, make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll keep bringing you awesome content. So, Pete, with that, let's start off with before I get into that. So today we've got 2 major movies that came out this week. This is not a Crimes of the Future week.
Oof, for all thank the Lord.
We've got 2 big time films. We have Adam Sandler's new film Hustle, which came out this week on Netflix. And we also have Jurassic World Dominion, probably the final chapter in the Jurassic Park / all that, until probably a complete reboot happens. But this is probably the final chapter in this series. I would be super shocked if there's another chapter here. But
no spoilers to my opinion, but let's hope that this is the last one already. It's enough.
Yeah,
it's enough already.
Yeah, for all you betting people that are wondering whether Pete or not like this film, go ahead and put in your wagers, because you'll probably end up winning money if you're a betting man. But we also got some trailers. We're gonna a couple nice new trailers came out this week. We're gonna be discussing those as well.
Right.
And yeah. So with that being said, Pete, let's get some of the latest movie news and notes.
Yeah. Well, the first one is we got an update from the Deadpool 3 writers. They assure us, and I quote, that the movie will be as R-rated as ever, which is a fantastic quote. I'm very much looking forward to this. I'm a huge fan of the first 2 movies.
Yeah, Pete, what list did you put where you threw Deadpool in there?
Yeah, I put them in as number 1 in my MCU top 5 list without knowing that.
No, we didn't do an MCU list, did we? Or is that one we didn't publish? I don't think we published.
No, we didn't publish that one, but I put it in the MCU list, and I was chastised for it.
It's a great film, though. No, Deadpool 2 was so awesome. Yeah. And again, like, Deadpool 1 was awesome. It's very rare when a number 2 comes in so fresh. I thought number 2 was even better, mainly because they had more money. That was like the big kind of infamous part of the first Deadpool, was they literally had no money, and they just literally made fun of it the entire film about how low budget they were. And then the second one, they had more money, but then they did the whole fourth. I mean, they pretty much invented a genre, which is, typically it's, you break the third wall, which is, quote unquote, the camera. And obviously Deadpool does that. This one, they broke the 4th wall, which means they actually talked about them in real life, like how they're making a movie. It was awesome. And yeah, Deadpool is
so clever.
Yeah, it's so clever. And I actually have enough, the way Disney has handled Lucasfilm, the way Disney has handled Marvel, which are completely 2 separate brands, they have not gotten in the way. And I think Disney understands, they're not a perfect brand by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think they understand that these brands are good without them, and they don't need to be Disney-fied. They don't need their hands on it. The new CEO, and I forget who the new CEO is. That's not Bob, is it?
I don't know.
No,
I'd have to look.
I think that's the one before. But these guys understand that sometimes no touching is the best way to go, which can relate to a lot of different aspects in life, right? But Disney knows not to get involved and these brands are pretty self-sustaining. I mean, Kathleen Kennedy is running Lucasfilm, and she took over for George Lucas, and I think she's done actually a pretty good job, if not a better job. I think she's revitalized the brand after the prequels, and I know it has been a perfect ride for her, but I still think she's probably the perfect person to run that company, because she's been so involved with not only Lucas, but a lot of the other brands as well. Or I'm sorry, a lot of the other franchises within Lucasfilm. And I think they're going to handle Fox the same way. I mean, Fox is just a different animal than Disney. And I think they're going to continue to kind of laissez-faire that and do the right thing. So
that's great. Those are really great opinions on answering the question before we ask the question. Because right now, that was going to be my big question: was, are you concerned because of this merger between Fox and Disney that would take away from what we expect as fans of the Deadpool 3? Do we think it's going to inhibit the writers and the filmmakers at all? No. But since you already answered that question, we can go ahead and move forward.
Yeah. Well, Pete, I cut out the fat. I just go straight into it. So
right.
That's the good thing when you have me on. That's what's going to happen.
You just get boom every time. The other note that we have is that Ben Affleck, his Nike movie, just added Jason Bateman, Viola Davis, Chris Tucker to sort of round out the cast of his upcoming film about Nike and its efforts to sign Michael Jordan. Marlon Wayans is also in it. Chris Tucker, who I already said. And so also Matt Damon will be in this as well.
And I believe Matt Damon also helped write this.
Helped co-write it, exactly. So this is going to be exciting. I can't wait for this one.
I think this film could be awesome. I think this film, to me, I mean, just one, the cast already sounds fantastic, but
got a lot of potential, just like Dominion had a lot of potential. Let's hope that the Goodwill Hunting people decide that they want to make a great movie with potential.
Well, I do trust. I'm a big Ben Affleck fan, big Matt Damon fan. I think these guys, again, going back to it, they're both sports fans, which I think is big. I think Moneyball, I think is a good comp for this subject matter. And hopefully now Moneyball had an amazing author, Michael Lewis, that wrote that, which gave the basis for it. Now the book is completely different than the film. And so, I don't know if it was Taylor, I forget his last name, but I don't know if Taylor wrote it as well, but he directed it. That to me is, that's a great sports film when it comes to, a it's not really a sports topic. It's like a real serious film within a sports atmosphere. This one feels very similar in tone. And again, I think if these guys can do what they do, take their time with the script, which it sounds like they're doing, I think the topic is fantastic. And you've probably seen some of this stuff in The Last Dance. You've probably seen some of this stuff in some other documentaries, a 30 for 30. But it's a really good subject matter, something I'm definitely interested in. And
yeah, a sports movie, but focused on the business aspect and all the goings on around.
Yeah,
and this is or a team. This is exciting.
Did you see Winning Time, Pete, or no?
No.
So Winning Time delves a little bit into the subject with Magic Johnson and Converse, right? Him and Bird were Converse. Is that right? Do you remember? So Winning Time delves a little bit into the subject, but again, at this time, we're so used to shoe deals and all this stuff now, but back then it was not a big business yet. Right. Guys make more money now on shoe deals than they do in the NBA, and this deal is what sets it all up. And so that's why I think, again, like the unprecedentedness, which is not a word, but I'm going to make it a word. That's what to me makes it so interesting.
Hold on, let me look up that word real fast.
Yeah, go ahead and Google that for all you fans out there. But that's what makes me so excited to see this film. Is it's just such a great topic, and like I said, you couldn't pick these two guys. Like understand sports, they understand writing characters,
and they write well together. I mean, let's be honest, they won an Oscar for it. Mm-hmm. So we know that team can really kind of bring it in together. So yeah, excited about that one.
for sure.
That's going to bring us to our first top list of the episode, Paul. We're going to do our top 5 Matt Damon roles. Who wants to go first? Do you want it or do I want it?
Yeah, I'll go first. Why not? Right. Now, guys, I'm going to get chastised for this list, and I'm okay with that. Right. Understand this man has had an amazing career, and he not only combines serious drama roles with action roles, but he's also got comedic roles. And that's what makes this list so difficult, is because do you favor the comedic roles over the serious roles? Who knows? But I've got a little bit of everything in my list.
We're about to find out.
I try to make it more diverse list as opposed to just boom, 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 boom. So there's going to be some movies, guys, that you're going to be like, how did you leave that off? I have only 5. Okay, people, 5.
Yeah, it's just top 5. That's all you can do.
Yeah. So get off my back. So the first one, Pete, I'm famous for this. I'm going to do a slash only because these are 2 bit parts. So they're not like full roles, but to me, number 5 is just going to be Matt Damon cameo. That's going to be the cha-ching. But he does a nice cameo of himself in Entourage, where he has like a cause and he wants Vince to join in the cause, and they do like a cut scene at the end where he's on the phone and just like cussing out Vince. And I don't know, it's such a small cameo, but he's so awesome in it, and he's just so intense. And even like a Drama and Turtle are like, did he just born your ass right now? Like it's just such a cool little cameo. So I put that number 5 along with Eurotrip, because in Eurotrip he comes in and sings Scotty Doesn't Know, and at this time he's literally at the peak of his career, and he does this small movie. I believe he went to college, I think, with the writers or the directors, something like that. So he was doing a favor for him, and again, it's such he shaves his head. It's just such a different character.
So out of character, and it was hilarious.
So that's why I had to slash that one. It's just 2 small cameo roles, but again, he crushes it in those films, and that's why that's my number 5. Number 4, and I actually had to cross this off. Originally, I put The Departed, and it hurt me to cross out The Departed.
That doesn't hurt me to cross that off.
But
I'm glad you crossed that off.
But the only reason why I crossed it out was because I had to put on Ocean's 11. And the reason why I put Ocean's 11 is it was such a unique role for him, because he is he's an A-lister at this point, but he takes a role where he's not the star, and he's actually underneath 2 bigger stars, if that's even possible, George Clooney and Brad Pitt. So he takes this kind of minor role, but he's also younger than these guys. So in the movie, he's kind of getting mentored by these guys, but it's also kind of happening in real life. And that's why I really like this role for him. Was again, he was able to drop his own ego to being a great ensemble film. Yeah. And I love that when actors do that. Some actors can't handle that. He can. He is an amazing ego, and that's why Ocean's 11 on it. Number 3.
Oh, hold on. I mean, if you can be underneath 2 men, I mean, Clooney and Pitt, those are the men that you want to be underneath for sure. I think I get an amen from the ladies.
Woo! All right, great job, Pete.
Thank you.
Number 3, guys. Number 3. This is probably not on a lot of people's list, but I think this is probably maybe one of his more diverse roles. Is he was in a Western called True Grit.
I knew you'd put that on.
Yeah, I mean, I love Westerns.
True Grit.
I love True Grit, and I love Westerns, and he's such a different role. And this one, obviously Matt Damon in real life is a very intelligent character. In this one, he's not an intelligent character, and that's part of the role he plays. Is he gets outsmarted by this young girl in the film, Haley Steinfeld. So that's why I like that role a lot. Is again, it's just such a different character than him, and this is kind of shows again his range, why he's such a great actor. But so True Grit's number 3 for me. Number 2, this is to me is just one of the films where it just showcases him, and it's The Martian, and it's him by himself for 90% of the movie, and it's his humor, and it's just enjoyable. Like, this is when you know you're a movie star. And Pete mentioned that what was the other film you talked about when it's just by yourself for the whole film? Oh, I Am Legend. You talk about this with Will Smith.
Castaway.
And Castaway is the same way. These are why only A-listers can do these movies. If this was somebody else, this movie probably sucks. But Matt Damon,
for the most part, Gravity too. I mean, Sandra Bullock in Gravity is mostly
right, and she has again that personality, and she's an A-lister. But these movies aren't for everybody in terms of like anybody could act in these. Matt Damon is by himself most of the time. He's talking to a camera and by himself, and he has to make it interesting. And obviously, yes, he has a script, but he still has the personality, the tone, the way he delivers lines that makes it super funny, super interesting. And The Martian sneaks up to number 2 on my list. I wouldn't say that, honestly. I've watched it a lot more lately, I think. Like, I don't remember liking it that much the first time I watched it. I was like, okay, it's good, solid movie. The more I watch it, the more I realize just again how entertaining the movie is. It's got great music. The rest of the cast is awesome too. Jeff Daniels and Jessica Chastain's in it. Donald Glover is in that. It's got an excellent cast. It's Ridley Scott, who is one of the greats. So it's just a film that I think is going to continue to, I think, grow more on people, because it gets better and better the more you watch it. And number one, I mean, this is a no-brainer, guys. But Pete, you just got to understand it's not your fault why this is number 1. It's not your fault.
Not true, man.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault. But my number 1 is Good Will Hunting. Because no movie. I mean, Good Will Hunting, guys, it might even make my top 5 of all time. And hot take. I literally, probably drama wise, it may be my favorite drama. I watched it within this last year, and it still makes me emotional. I
watched it last week.
I'll probably watch it again. It's so good. The writing, Robin Williams is so great in it. I love Boston. I love me a good Boston film. Anytime I can get my Boston accent out there, I'm going to do it, because it's so fucking good.
And Minnie Driver's sneaky great in it.
She is, yeah.
Skarsgård, it plays like the perfect asshole guy. Yeah. And I mean, the casting, I know
he doesn't play a lot of those roles anymore. He plays, he, like you're saying, he was so great in that role. He doesn't actually play that a lot, which is kind of weird, but
budget wasn't really high for that. And they were able to get these really, really amazing actors that just worked really well together in every scene.
And Gus Van Sant, obviously the director, he did an excellent job. Also,
Danny Elfman did the music.
Yeah, and Danny Elfman, he's coming off of the Tim Burton train, which is the Batmans, the Beetlejuices, that he had that very distinct tonality. This film, I want to say, and I'm a pretty good scholar on the Danny Elfman scores. I want to say this is his first real departure from his traditional tonality.
Should do a future list. Danny Elfman scores.
Oh, we will for sure. Yeah, because he ends up doing other ones. Like The Kingdom is a great soundtrack. I don't know if you've heard that one. I love that one. Again, different tonality for Danny Elfman. He does another one, The Promised Land, which is good. Next 3 days, maybe. I'm spitballing, guys, but Danny Elfman, again, he has this very, you know him for a certain tonality, but he also has this other gear, and it's fantastic. So
lovely. That's a pretty good list, Paul. I don't know if it's as good as mine, because mine, let's be honest, is pretty perfect.
And well, guys, make sure you comment below. Please let us know who wins this debate. I know I won, but Pete sometimes needs convincing. So please comment below.
Yeah, I'm very convincing.
First, comment your top 5, and then also comment on whether or not you think I won or Pete won. So Pete, please go ahead with your list.
All right. I was going to do a slash for my number 5, because I never do slashes, and I always make fun of you for doing slashes. So I'm going to remove my slash and just go with The Last Duel as my number 5.
Wow.
This was an interesting movie by itself, but I thought that his character, I thought what he did with it in the 3 different scenarios was really quite stunning.
I agree.
I thought that
I didn't watch that again.
Yeah, his approach to that character, it was something that I had never seen him do before, which was, somebody who is really trying to do something great, but is never taken seriously, and he just gets shit on the whole movie.
Lack of confidence. He has a pretty large lack of confidence in this film.
But, I thought it was an incredible role. So
I agree.
My honorable mention would have been Ford versus Ferrari. I thought he was excellent in that.
Yeah, he was great in that. That was one I hated to cut off.
That's the one that I was going to be my slash, but it's not officially a part of my slash now that I've voiced my opinion.
Well, you can't. That one's a tough. Ford versus Ferrari in the last duel. You can't slash that. Like that is cheating. So at least mine, there's a theme on the slash.
You always slash.
No. But there's always themes to my slashes.
Make a choice.
No,
you choose and you decide and you move on.
Well, yeah, but those are two great films. I was disappointed that I couldn't make them on my list.
And I couldn't put Saving Private Ryan because of the role was so small, even though it's about him. And he didn't really do much in it to make me go, oh, wow,
I agree.
Incredible.
It's a great film. It's a great film, but it's Tom Hanks's film. It's not his film. Even Tom Sizemore. I mean, Tom Sizemore has a bigger role than he does.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm 100%. I don't think Saving Private Ryan should be on this list. So anybody that puts Saving Private Ryan in their top 5 for Matt Damon, you just don't know Matt Damon.
You don't know.
You don't know.
Number 4 for me is Ocean's 11 for the same reasons that you said. It was a smaller role, but he still, I thought he shined in his own way. I think each character in Ocean's 11, even the smaller ones, had their moments and they all performed really well. And I include him for sure in that.
Absolutely.
Number 3, this is a movie that I love and that I actually just watched recently again, and I can watch it over and over again, not only because of the subject matter, but because of Matt Damon and because of his co-star in it, and that's Rounders. I can watch Rounders.
I need to watch that again
all day. It's about Texas No Limit Hold'em. Yeah. Edward Norton plays just a fuck up best friend.
Malkovich too is excellent in this.
John Malkovich is incredible in it.
John Malkovich, not Tom.
I said John.
Oh, it sounded like Tom. I was like, Tom Malkovich.
Jonathan Malkovich is really good as a Russian in this.
Yeah. Fantastic.
But this was Matt Damon at the time. This was a different kind of role where, I mean, he still had that same kind of Matt Damon acting in it, but it was kind of elevated.
I want to say this is his first film after Good Will Hunting, no?
Might be.
Without me looking it up.
Right, it might be.
It's either that or Talented Mr. Ripley. These are all in the same post Good Will Hunting world.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. So yeah, and then number 2 for me, and this was tough. I mean, these two were. I mean, I put Good Will Hunting 2, and I put Bourne, just the character, as number 1 because I'm a huge Bourne fan. I thought he came out. And
I need to rewatch the series.
It could have been a disaster. At the time, casting Matt Damon as Jason Bourne, you hadn't really seen him as an action star yet. Right. And he came out in Bourne, especially the first one. I love the other 2. Not a huge fan of the 4th or the other one that they did. But
well, the fourth was with Jeremy Renner, right?
Right. I'm talking about the 4th Matt Damon one.
Right, which is
just Bourne.
Yeah.
It was fine, but I can't even think about that one. But Matt Damon came in and he was so good as an action star, and he was so smart, and he played that role perfectly. So that's my number 1.
Yeah.
Boom.
That's good.
Comment below on how perfect my list is.
Yeah. Wait, that's Bourne's your number 1. Oh wow.
Yeah, Bourne. I mean, I think that character is
I never got in.
As good as Good Will Hunting is, and as iconic as that.
Wait, you didn't even put that on your list?
No, it's number 2. What are you talking about?
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Are you listening to me at all?
No, I got stuck in Bourne world.
Wow. Yeah, no, I even said I was struggling because Good Will Hunting is so amazing.
You didn't say number 2. Yeah, I see what you did.
No, I'm just trying to, I'm self-editing here.
No, that's good. Look, the other film. So where there's we cut out a lot of good films of Matt Damon. I mean, have you ever seen The Good Shepherd?
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah,
but again, it wasn't
a great film. I don't think.
I think it was great huge of a role to consider in my top 5 for sure.
But I think where he still has a big future ahead of him is definitely governmental type, like CIA type roles, because he's so smart. And he has action. Like, I mean, he could be a Jack Ryan type, you know what I mean? Because he has the action part to him. He has the intelligence. And I would like to see him more in roles like that, where
I know, but can you actually put him in a Jack Ryan, especially? I mean, he's already done
role. Krasinski's Jack Ryan right now, and he's excellent. So, but I'm just saying, like CIA or FBI, like these governmental type roles where it's an intelligent / action type of role. I think he can have a nice. I want to see him more in roles like that because I think he's got a great future there. Besides films like The Martian, which again he's part scientist, botanist, which is why he was so great in that. So moving forward, good job on the list, Pete. I don't think you won.
Beautiful list.
Next I won because of Eurotrip. Eurotrip, I think, is what ultimately won it. I think fans will agree.
Oh, and then if you get a chance, an honorable mention is something along those lines where he was
Green Zone.
The Jimmy Kimmel Show when Sarah Silverman made that video called "I F'd Matt Damon" and sent it to Jimmy Kimmel. And then Jimmy Kimmel sent back another video saying that he F'd Matt Damon too, and Matt Damon's in the videos. And oh man, it's hilarious.
That's a good honorable mention. You might have sneaky just stole back the award, but
I just pulled a Dominique right now.
Yeah, you just Dominique.
Hey, you know what? By the way.
Yeah. By the way.
Boom.
All
right, coming up right now is Excited, Not Interested, and eventually we'll have a cooler title than that.
Yeah. Right.
Hi, welcome to Excited, Not Interested. I'm already not interested in the title.
That sounds like my dating life right there.
Yeah. Hey, excited, not interested? I mean, you know.
Yeah.
The first on the list, are you excited or not interested that Julia Garner from Ozark and Anna on Netflix was offered
Who is she in Ozark?
She's the daughter of like those hillbilly guys.
And you're not talking about the curly-haired girl.
Yeah, that's her.
Oh, okay.
She was offered the role in the Madonna biopic coming up. Excited, not excited about seeing her in that role?
I think she's a great actress. I love her in Ozark. I'm excited about a Madonna biopic in general because, I think I was kind of young. I think there's a lot to Madonna's character that I don't think we all know, even though she's maybe one of the more open and transparent musicians we've ever met. Honestly, as great as actors are, and we just kind of talk about this with the Matt Damon part, I care about who's going to write this, and I care about who's going to direct this, because I do think when it comes to acting, yes, it's very rare when only one person can do the role, but I do think, like you always say, script is everything. I want to know about the script, and that'll ultimately determine whether or not I'm excited about this or not, because this could be a disaster. It could be.
It would all depend, like you're saying. It really, because I'm not really interested in a general Madonna biopic. I mean, if there's something specific about her career and her life that is super interesting, which I'm unaware of, and they put it into a story that's incredible, then I will go see it. But like the new Elvis, no, like this new Elvis film, right? Yeah, Elvis, I think, is a very similar character when it comes to that. There's so much to his story. It's like, I don't want to see a general biopic. Doesn't sound interesting, but you throw Tom Hanks in there, and you throw who's the director on this one? It's the guy that did the guy's got credits, is my point. And that's what makes it interesting. And the trailer is fantastic. And so I'm definitely looking forward to seeing Elvis, but because it's about him and the relationship with the not the general, I forget his name, but anyways, you get my point. So that too early, I guess, for me to determine whether or not I'm interested or not. Next, Sleepy Hollow reboot. I know you were a fan of the original, not the Disney one, of course, because that one was awesome. It's a classic, but the Johnny Depp one, they're going to reboot this one. There's not a lot of details on it. Do you know who's in charge? No, I couldn't find a lot of info. I think literally the same answer applies. The story is a story. What I loved about the original was Tim Burton, and Tim Burtonified. Google that one, that film, and added added Johnny Depp and all that stuff, and Danny Elfman with the music, and it was such a great thematic film that fit it was so true to the original story, but still built upon that, and actually was a good script. So yeah, I don't know if it's actually rebootable, to be honest, because it's like, what else are you going to tell with that story? But who knows? I'll have to see a trailer, but I could be not interested.
I mean, I'll see it. Don't get me wrong, but
it's possible to be not interested. Again, we need more info.
Yeah.
A couple of sequels that they're starting to put into the works right now is one is Ghostbusters Afterlife and the other is Joker. Both I'm very excited about. I can't wait for both of those films for sure.
Ghostbusters, absolutely. I really love this one.
This is a new franchise. I mean, they're going to go on and on with this for a while, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I loved all the new characters. I love Phoebe. I thought she did such a great job in this film. You know, she definitely did a good job of kind of encompassing, you know, the Spanglerisms and stuff like that. But then she still was her own character. I know. I'm hot right now.
You're fire.
Paul Rudd was excellent. Carrie Coon was excellent. And, you know, this movie didn't really rely on the old guys so much, which was great. Right. You know, and the music was great. Jason Reitman did a phenomenal job directing. The camera work on this is excellent. The way it looked, the whole crew did such a great job on this film. I literally just watched it the other day. I bought it, and I've seen this film probably 7 times already. And you know, this one makes me emotional mainly because, you know, it is such an ode to Harold Ramis, and I am, you know, a huge Harold Ramis fan. His whole career, one of my inspirations, I think, in general. You know, I don't even think I would ever think about comedy if I didn't think about Harold Ramis and his career and how he kind of combined genres of, you know, maybe like serious subjects and then just added Harold Ramis to it, if that makes sense, you know. And Groundhog Day is like one of my favorite films of all time. And Stripes is an excellent film. I just watched that not too long ago. And yeah, just I love Harold Ramis. And so just to me, this just felt like, as a fan, this just felt like such a great ode to him. And then it was a good script too. Like the story worked very well. Yeah, I loved it. So super looking forward to that. Joker, man, I'll tell you what.
Well, there's a lot to say about that one without knowing a lot about it. I mean, they just posted an image of the first page of the script, or the cover of the script, you know, and then they posted a picture of Joaquin Phoenix reading the script. Yeah, and that's it. That's all we've seen about this. It's still the same writers and
Todd Phillips. Look, I think Todd Phillips did a great job on the direction of it.
I think the other title is Folie à Deux. So, you know, it's starting to raise a lot of questions about who is going to be this other character that's going to be sort of the split, or the character that has the same personality as him, or something like that. What does it mean? I gotta look it up.
Yeah, I don't remember.
There's a specific definition for it. So basically, is it going to be about Harley Quinn? And is this going to be a Margot Robbie opportunity to join this sequel, or is it going to be about Batman? And are they going to bring the newest Batman in? It's going to be interesting. Can't wait to hear more about it.
Yeah, I mean, my quick Joker take is, filmmaking wise, I thought it was excellent. I didn't enjoy this film that much, and maybe it's just a little too dark for me. I don't know. It doesn't make me feel good. Like, I don't want to go and watch Joker tomorrow. I love the Joker character. Some of the things they did, I don't know if I liked it or what. And I know I'm in the minority here, so let me preface it with that. Obviously, this film won some Oscars and was nominated for some Oscars, and it did very well at the box office. I actually saw it twice, I think.
I did too. And it is it's almost like, for me, and don't bash me, I'm not putting this band down at all, but it's almost like Radiohead. Like Radiohead, it's like there's so much good music that Radiohead has done, but for me personally, I kind of have to be in the mood to hear it. I can't just sit down and listen to a Radiohead album. Like, but it's a depressing moments come up.
Yeah, Joker's like, super depressing.
You have to kind of be in that mindset. If you're in a really great mood and are looking for something upbeat and positive, you don't want to throw it on
No.
By the way, folie à deux is defined as an identical or similar mental disorder affecting two or more individuals, usually members of the same family or a close relationship. That's interesting. I can't wait.
Yeah. Did you ever see the original? What he basically based this film off of?
No. No.
So I do the FY. I have that on our Amazon account. I need to finish watching that. But Todd Phillips based most of the Joker film on a film called The King of Comedy. So obviously that name, the Kings of Comedy is based off that. But this is a Martin Scorsese film in the 80s, I believe. It's with Robert De Niro, who's the original actor. And when you watch that film and then you watch Joker, I mean, it's in a way, it's not a carbon copy, but it's pretty close. Like you see, it's so inspired by it. And again, the movie's kind of the same. It's just so awkward and disturbing. But again, it takes very delicate hands when you deal with that subject matter. So, let's move forward.
Last excited, not interested is the upcoming Barbie movie starring Margot Robbie as Barbie, along with Ryan Gosling and Will Ferrell have been attached to this film. I'm a former Barbie girl because I worked for Mattel for many years. I'm personally am very excited about it. That's a great cast. I mean, you put Will Ferrell in anything, I'm watching it.
Same. I'm in based off Will Ferrell. Although Margot Robbie, when you say Margot Robbie and Barbie, I like that combo too.
That's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So latest trailers coming out. Let's just give a quick thumbs up, thumbs down. Are we going to go and see these films? Number one on the list is The Menu.
Yes, I watched that. Yeah, it looks kind of like a M. Night Shyamalan type of film.
Yeah, I can't wait. I mean, the trailers basically, they set it up for you and you have a lot of questions, and it piques your interest, which is what a good trailer.
It looks very similar to Old, right? Is that the new M. Night Shyamalan?
Yes, but I didn't get that same impression. I got more of the impression almost like there's about to be a manhunt or something where
maybe
these people who come to a fancy dinner are suddenly going to be chased after and eventually eaten. I mean, that's
maybe it'll be dinosaurs, Pete. Maybe it'll be dinosaurs. Maybe this is the new Jurassic Park sequel.
Maybe. This movie is Nope.
Yes, this movie looks.
This is a thumbs up for me for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big horror guy, but Jordan Peele has proven to be an excellent filmmaker, and I'm pretty much in on whatever he makes.
Right now. Whether you like his movies or not, they are interesting and they keep you intrigued the entire time. And what a ride each time.
Yes, sir.
This one was, I don't know if I'm going to see it, but I was intrigued by the trailer, which was Prey. They started this trailer off and you have no idea what it's about. It's some Indians running around.
Native Americans, Pete. Come on.
Native Americans, excuse me. Doing their thing, hunting, gathering, surviving, hunting. And it really builds up into this great sort of suspenseful moment where all of a sudden you see that
it's a predator origin story.
The thing that is chasing after them or that they're trying to hunt, but they're being hunted by is the predator. It's an interesting take and it's a good change. It's a good shift for that franchise going from the whole Predator and then Predator versus Alien, which I never got into because I didn't care. But now
I need to rewatch all of those. Predator and Alien. I don't think I've ever really sat down and watched them like as an adult. So I need to.
You're good. But it's an interesting direction. And I'm glad. I mean, this gives me hope for Hollywood that they would do something like this as the next installment of a franchise that's been going on for 30, 40 years. So I mean,
and it did not make our top 5 franchise list.
No, and I'm going to give it a sideways because I'm mildly curious about the direction. I'm just not a huge Predator fan.
Same.
Last is Black Adam, was just released. The trailer for that starring The Rock. I mean, I think you got to go see it.
I'm in.
I'm not super excited about it, but I'll go see it because it looks fun.
Yeah, and he hasn't. Like I said, I think on the minimum he's going to give you a B, and I like that. The last 6 films of his, and I'm just throwing out a random number, but ever since pretty much San Andreas, there hasn't really been a film that I have said like I hate. or I didn't like. I at least enjoyed my time watching the film. Skyscraper, not Godzilla, Rampage, Jumanji's. I've enjoyed the films. I think he understands audiences very well, and he's going to at least give you a solid something to watch. So I'm in.
You're worth the money.
Worth the money.
He always makes it.
Well, and Pete, we have our AMC pass, so we're going to see it for free. Well, we pay for it, but it's essentially free once you go to the theater. So
sure.
All right. Well, now, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming up to our first film review, which is Hustle. And it's the new film by Adam Sandler. It's on Netflix now. So if you have nothing to do tonight, watch it. So Pete,
I recommend watching this film for sure. This is a great movie. The trailer told you everything you needed to know, and it delivered. I mean, I was excited when I saw the trailer, and I was hopeful, and I was really just like, I really hope this isn't a silly movie, which it wasn't. This was a very serious movie, but it was fun. It was well done. The basketball sequences were top notch. This actor, the guy that you have on behind you here, was phenomenal.
He's a real NBA player. So they went pretty much the Spike Lee route, which is we're gonna take guys that already know how to play basketball, and we're gonna find the best actor out of those guys, as opposed to finding a great actor and teach them how to play basketball. Basketball is not something you can teach. You know what I mean? It's literally the hardest coordinated sport on earth, and so you need guys like. What I loved about this film is the director of this did a fantastic job, but a lot of the shots, like there's no, old school basketball. Watch basketball films like the 90s and even like the early 2000s. And it's always guy shoots, cut to basket, ball makes in. In this film, it's all one shots. It's one shots, and it's different angles because this guy knows how to make shots. And he's actually a pretty good NBA player too. And he's still young. I mean, this guy has potential to grow as an NBA player, but he did a great job acting. Like Pete said, the story is fantastic. Honestly, guys, hot take here. I think this is one of the best sports films of all time. And to me, this is a combination of uncut gems. So you're getting really this nuanced acting from Adam Sandler, but he's literally perfect for this role because he knows basketball.
Loves basketball.
He loves basketball, and he can play basketball. Like he's not a fake basketball fan. Like he's a legitimately good basketball player. He actually plays with good people, like NBA guys and stuff like that. Like he can hang. And then he has his little bit of comedy, but he's not over the top. Like
not at all.
He slides in this role so perfectly. He's believable. And I honestly, acting wise, I think this is better than Uncut Gem. I think this is his best acting role, period, because it's just a perfect character for him.
It's really good. Yeah. The thing I loved the most about it, not the most, but like the thing that stood out to me the most was the fact that once you hit the credits and you start going through the credits, 97% of the actors in this film were all NBA players, either current or past.
Kenny Smith does a great job.
Exactly. I thought Kenny Smith did a phenomenal job. Like he acted better than I think I've seen a pro athlete act before. Like he did
he's on TV, job. So I was never afraid. Like when I saw his name in the credits.
Being on TV as a commentator is leaps and bounds different than being in a dramatic role, and that's what his character was. It was really good. Well,
100%. What I'm saying is, I could sense, like, to me, it's not. I'm not surprised that he was great because he has character. He knows how to give his thoughts. Like he understands camera presence. And yes, acting is way different than commentating. But what I'm saying is, I could tell he has potential based off of how he is, like Shaq. You can tell Shaq and Barkley. Barkley actually could be rough, but Kenny Smith, you could tell, has the chops for it if he works on it. And I think he probably did work on it a lot. I mean, it shows. He was fantastic. He actually showed a little bit of some colors in terms of like some shades of different emotions and stuff like that. Like it didn't feel like a cameo for him. It felt like a legitimate role that he was acting in. He did phenomenal job. I have nothing but high praise. I'm actually gonna look forward to watching this film again.
Yeah.
The other part of this that I love, so Anthony Edwards, who's the former number one pick on the Timberwolves, and he's the quote unquote antagonist in this film.
Yeah.
One of the antagonists in the film. Ben Foster's the other antagonist, and we already talked about Ben Foster.
Ben Foster is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
If I had a critique of this movie, it's that I wish, spoilers, turn this off if you don't want to find out. I would have loved to see a scene of him being removed as the owner of the team, because I think that he would have.
Oh, him in the. Yeah, I would agree with that. That's a good.
I wanted to see, because he's such a good actor and he's so intense and he's such an ass in this movie. I wanted to see him get fired in the worst kind of way. I would
agree. That's a good note. That would have been an excellent scene between him and the sister.
And the sister, because the sister was tight, but she was in for like 2 minutes.
And you know what this reminds me of, Pete? Now that you're saying out loud, but that's the genie bus, and I forget the son's name, but the son. Remember, the son was just taking down the Lakers, and he told Genie Bus, "Give me 2 years, and if we don't win it, Jimmy Bus, maybe if I don't win a championship in 2 years, you could fire me."
Yeah.
So I want to say they maybe took that playbook, and like you're saying, it would have been a great scene, because it would have elevated the sister. It was kind of definitely felt a little rush there at the end, in terms of like, oh, this happened. And it's not part of the major part of the story. So I understand it on one end, but now you're saying out loud, I'm like, yeah, that would have been a great scene to
so good.
And again, you just really seen the strength and the power of the sister. And then ultimately, again, we're talking about writing. You would have seen the dad's message from the beginning trickle down to the sister. And now she's taking that mantle and carrying that on with the family, because the son didn't have it, and they show that early on. So yeah, good point, man. That really, I think, would have taken this film to another level. And you're talking a 3-minute scene, so you're not talking like budget wise, you're not breaking the bank.
They could have shot this in a quarter of a day.
Great ad. Look at Pete. Pete just won this.
Listen,
event. Yeah,
that's what I do. I bring in notes.
You bring in notes. Great side note.
I definitely recommend it. Go and see this.
Highly recommend it. By the way, watch it twice. I'm going to watch it twice. Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing it again. Honestly, one of my favorite sports films of all time. The comp, again, guys, Uncut Gems meets Moneyball. I feel like that's, you want a good comp. I think that's like a really good comp, because Moneyball, when it comes, like I said, Moneyball is not like a sports film, but it is. And this film is very similar. It's like, it's not a sports film, but it is. But there's real life drama and action that just fits. So, guys,
that's an interesting question, Paul. What are your top 5 sports movies of all time?
Pete, I'm the master of segues, and that's exactly that's exactly what I was doing, Pete. I just easily set Spiky right there.
Yep,
set you up for that. So yeah. Well, number 5, Pete. Again, hot take. I'm gonna put Hustle. I think it's that well done that it deserves the number 5 spot. And I think eventually maybe it'll go higher. Obviously, to beat these other films, it's extremely difficult, which is why I didn't put it higher. And I think in some of my other lists, I'm learning from these lists as well. Sometimes I come in a little too hot, and I'm ranking like my number 2s. Sometimes I'm noticing my number 2s are a little bit of a weak spot for me.
You always start off strong, and then
my number 2 is just such a curveball.
Well, we always mess it up.
So I need to utilize the number 5 spot better. So this is why I'm putting Hustle number 5. It's
number 5 needs to be that film that you're like, nobody's gonna like this pick, but it's important for me.
I'm learning, guys. So that's my number 5. Number 4, maybe the greatest pure baseball film of all time, and it's Major League.
Yeah,
there's no film I could watch over and over again, laugh. Charlie Sheen is and Wesley Snipes and Tom Berenger, and Corbin Burnson. I mean, look, I can keep going with this cast. Darn.
Very good. What you got at 3?
I had a quote too, and I had an impression. I messed it up. It's either an arm thing or a leg thing.
Oh, that the coach?
Yeah, that's the coach.
So bad.
Yeah,
our impression.
Adam Sosnick can do a better coach impression than me. But so yeah, Major League's number 4. Number 3, I just mentioned it before, but it's Moneyball. Moneyball is such an excellent film. Again, starts with the book which is the premise, and then the script. It's such a, when you read the book and then you read the screenplay, you appreciate a screenwriter, because it's not easy to do what that guy did. And he made an excellent script out of an excellent topic. And both people deserve credit for that one. Number two, I mean, is this heaven? No, it's Iowa. It's Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams. It's Shoeless Joe Jackson. Just such an excellent film. Pete, sometimes I just, you want to play catch, Pete? Just it's emotional,
I like that.
Yeah, it's just an emotional film. It's one of the first films for me where I saw, just again, kind of the loop of great writing, where it's like you set something up in the very beginning and you don't really come back to it, and then at the very end it's like boom, it connects, and you're just like, oh my goodness, like wow. And
it was one of the first sort of dramatic films that I saw. Up until then, it was all comedy or
action,
animation, or action. There wasn't a lot of drama.
I'm 7 years old, I think, when that comes out, right? Is that 87?
Maybe. If that's
true, I mean, I'm 7 years old, guys. So this is, like Pete's saying, this is a first kind of hard hitting film probably I saw. So, and then number one, man, it's one of the films. It's maybe the first film I ever cried in the theater for, and it wasn't even that sad of a moment, but that's how just emotionally attached I was to this film. And it's Rudy.
Yep.
And there is no better football film out there than Rudy. I mean, the sequences are excellent, but just the story itself. Obviously this is the legitimate classic underdog story.
This is a movie that you can give to anybody who hates sports, and they would walk out of it inspired, and they would love this movie. I challenge anybody to hate this movie.
Like, you want to challenge Pete? I'm going to drop the gauntlet right now. Jake Fensky hates this film. You know why? Because he hates Notre Dame. Yeah, and I'm like, how do you hate Rudy? Like, he's like, no, I just.
Jake's the little kid friend that asks if we can watch the USC game.
Yeah. Can you turn on the Purdue game?
The Rudiger house.
Can we watch the Purdue game? No, we can't watch the Purdue game. First of all, Purdue sucks.
What a dumb reason to hate this inspiring film.
Yeah, this is a call out to Jake Fensky. And you're ridiculous. This is shameful. An excellent film. Watch it again. Maybe as an adult, drop some of your things for. But Rudy is again, like, this film inspires so much. I actually made a highlight film with the Rudy music as a freshman. Like, you want to talk about, like, one of my first actual video productions. And by the way, I crushed it. For all you wondering if I crushed it, and I did. And I made an emotional freshman football highlight film with the Rudy music, and it was excellent. But Rudy's my all time. I need to watch that again. Football season's coming up soon, so
it's a good one. It's a good list, Paul. It's not as good as mine, because mine is the perfect list. Thank you, Jake Fensky, for starting that one, because that is my favorite thing that he's ever said in his life. Because he was so matter of fact about it. He was just like, all right, here's my list, and it's just a perfect list. And it was such it was such a throwaway line for him, but now it's like my favorite thing in the world.
Guys, make sure you check out our episode 1 with the original Top Gun. You're going to see Jake Fensky, Peter Bush. But yeah, that's what Pete's talking about. He crushes it in that one, and we'll have them back on for a future episode.
My list, it's pretty baseball heavy, because, for me, baseball movies are inspirational, and I just love them. I relate to them.
This is where you already lost the list.
Yeah, well, I've got some great ones here. The ones, honorable mentions, that I couldn't put on my list, but I think that are really good, are like Major League. I really wanted that in my top 5.
How you admitted it is, I'm curious to see what you put in.
Dodgeball, I think, is a fantastic sports movie. It's hilarious.
I didn't even think about that you're right. That's Dodgeball's great.
It's one of the funniest movies I've seen. And then a classic from my youth was White Men Can't Jump. Like, I
actually had that, and I crossed it out for Major League.
Great movies, not in my top 5.
Yeah,
my top 5.
Let me add one more. Let me add one more honorable mention. And this is a sneaky underground kind of film, but it's Above the Rim. And I don't know if you saw it, but the soundtrack was excellent. It had some of the better basketball. Like, we hadn't seen really basketball that good. It's right before White Men Can't Jump, I believe, or right after that. But it's an excellent film. Tupac's in it. The soundtrack is hot. But yeah,
it's hot.
Oh, Remember the Titans. I hated omitting that one. I love Remember the Titans.
Yeah,
I heard keeping that one out, and then
your list is good. There's no room for those ones, even though those are good movies. So
yeah, for sure.
Number 5 for me was just it's probably not everyone's favorite baseball movie at all, but I don't know, this movie spoke to me, and it was something that I really loved watching, and I think it's because I love Kevin Costner so much. It was For Love of the Game.
Oh, I love that one.
It was such a good movie, and he did so well. And him in sports movies like Draft Day and obviously Field of Dreams, like Bull Durham, like he just has a connection with baseball, and he knows how to be a baseball player in his roles. And this movie was so focused on him and pitching this perfect game that it was just, I loved the journey. That's my number 5.
Well, and what I love about the film, and I'll be quick about this, but what I love about that film too, and I don't know if you've experienced this, Pete, but I've had, kind of like the spoiler alert, the end of the film, obviously he has this perfect game, and it's supposed to be like this pivotal moment in his life, and then he's just by himself in the hotel room, and it feels empty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've actually experienced that before, and it kind of just shows the importance of finding somebody and again sharing the experience with people, because victories by themselves are empty. And so that movie hit home for me because, like I said, and not just once, it's been a couple times I've had these like victories, and it's like cool, no one to share it with, and it sucks. So yeah, that movie definitely hits home. So
it's great. It's great. Top 5.
You're gonna see me cry on this podcast.
Right now, I'm crushing it already with my number 5 pick. Number 4 is a sports movie, and it's one of my favorites, and it's going to be the subject of a future episode coming up very soon. It's The Karate Kid. Karate Kid is so amazing. It's pretty, as ridiculous as a lot of the acting and everything like that. It's just a great film from start to finish. Yeah. Oh boy, look at that face. That face is the face of defeat. I just didn't think of that as a sport film, because I don't consider karate a sport. There's a competition there.
It's competition. I don't consider it a sport. So I think it's a different conversation. I would not have included that in the sports film.
It's in the Olympics.
Olympics is a bunch of competition.
I
don't think all Olympics is sports. No.
Yeah, it's all sports.
I meant sports like the general. Okay, that's fine.
Karate Kid's a sports film.
It's not a sports film. I've never heard it included.
This just elevated I've only given you 2 picks, and I've already won.
You haven't won yet.
Come on.
Keep going.
Number 3, Moneyball, my favorite.
All right, Moneyball. That's good.
One of my favorite movies. I thought Brad Pitt was amazing in it. Jonah Hill was incredible. Even the daughter was excellent. The scout was, I think he was a real scout in the MLB. He's done a couple of films.
I think you're the first person to call it the MLB.
It's the MLB because I'm cool.
Yeah.
Number 2, Field of Dreams, for every reason that you've already said. And number 1, you can't have a better sports movie ever. I don't care what Jake Fensky says. It's Rudy.
Wow. We actually we had the same first 3.
Our first 3 are identical.
Wow.
Unprecedented. It's never happened on a list before.
It's like we're brothers.
It's almost like we're related.
Yeah. Wow. I'm impressed. I think the biggest debate, Pete, is Karate Kid a sports film?
Yes, it is.
Guys, please comment below on whether or not you think Karate Kid is a sports film, because that is my biggest debate right now.
It's the same debate as is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Yeah, it's not a Christmas movie.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Absolutely a Christmas.
It has nothing to do with Christmas. That's the time.
No, it's surrounded by Christmas. There's Christmas.
Yeah, it's surrounded by Christmas, but it's not Christmas. It's not a Christmas film.
It's a Christmas movie.
It has no thematic Christmas elements to it. Same as Karate Kid is not. Karate is not a sport. It's a skilled competition.
Sport, by definition, is competition.
No, that's not the definition.
Go ahead.
Hey, Roger Google. That's not definition.
Come on.
Of sports. Guys, we're going live. We're going live with this definition.
Do it live.
An activity involving physical exertion and skill in which an individual or team competes against another or others for entertainment.
Okay, that's exactly what a karate competition is. Thank you.
I guess I'm
no
more
further questions.
Yeah, all right, maybe I lost that debate.
All right, I'm feeling I'm still in a listy kind of mood.
All right, well, how about we do top 5 Adam Sandler films? Also,
Lovely.
an extremely difficult list. Some of the films you have to cut off on this list is devastating.
Yeah,
but
I'll go first.
You start this list since I started the last one.
Now, my honorable mention is Uncut Gems, only because I'm halfway through it, and I know he's gotten a lot of critical acclaim for it. But
yeah, but I agree. I don't think it's the top 5.
He was good in it, but I couldn't put it in my top 5. My top 5 Adam Sandler movies, which, by the way, this list is perfect. Number 5 for me is 50 First Dates. I loved this one. I love anytime you put him and Drew Barrymore together. I think that they are relationship gold on the screen. I think they are perfect for each other. This movie just made me laugh, and I thought it was a great premise.
And I would even, and this would be a future list, but best romantic comedy actresses. I think Drew Barrymore is going to be up there. I loved her in Fever Pitch as well.
Yep.
Obviously she was in The Wedding Singer, and she is, like you're saying, she is one of the greatest romantic comedy actresses of all time.
Is Fever Pitch a sports movie, do you think?
100%. Because it's baseball.
Yeah, I mean, it's
baseball.
There's some baseball in the setting for sure. Just like there's Christmas in the setting of Die Hard. Anyways, number 4 on my list.
It's way more baseball-y. It takes place in a baseball stadium.
Yeah, Die Hard takes place at Christmas time.
It's how many times is it mentioned that it's Christmas in Die Hard?
At least a dozen.
A dozen?
Yeah.
I think you're just throwing a number out there.
No, I'm just being a jerk.
Okay.
Number 4 is what started it all for me, which was Billy Madison. It was silly, but it's so quotable, and it was
super
fun.
Quotable.
Super
it's not
quotable.
my favorite. It's not my favorite movie, but I agree with you. It's got some of the best scenes.
Yeah,
like it's memorable. I think again, I think it's just kind of on the lower budget, so I think it's not the greatest film when it's all said and done, but the scenes and the actors in it are incredible.
Yeah. It's really ridiculous, but it's super fun.
Yeah.
Number 3 is The Wedding Singer. Again, it's Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore, and it's fun, and the music that's in it, and his character is so perfect.
Yeah.
Number 2 was.
Well, going back to The Wedding Singer, I feel like that's one of the first, at least that I can remember, but it's one of the first throwback in time type of films. Like there wasn't a ton of that kind of movie back then.
Right.
I mean, maybe I guess they did a lot of 60s type stuff, but this is the first throwback 80s film, I guess is probably a better way to say it.
Yeah, it was before things
because Happy Days obviously was a throwback to the 50s.
Right, but then you started to get into movies like Can't Hardly Wait, Take Me Home Tonight, later on. But this one, you're right, is
but Can't Hardly Wait Can't Hardly Wait is live. It's the time period. It's not a throwback.
I don't know.
This Wedding Singer is the first 80s throwback that I can, off the top of my head, it's the first 80s throwback.
Yeah.
Anyways, continue.
Number 2 for me was Hustle, because I just loved it that much. That's how much I loved it.
Upset pick of the week.
I loved it. I thought it was one of his best movies. I thought it was one of his best roles, even though I love his comedic movies growing up. This one,
I need to see it more. I'm not against what you're saying. I think it's a little too early to put it that high.
Even after just one viewing, that's how much it impressed me that I had to just shoot it up there. I'm not going to argue. It was incredible.
I'm not going to argue that.
Number 1 for me is best Adam Sandler movie, quotable, funny, laughs, and everything is Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
That's his best movie.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna get a lot of debate from a lot of people on that one. I mean, I think
beautiful list, by the way. Oof, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're not that far off. I think literally we only have one difference. I mean, I'll run down mine pretty fast just because you pretty much have the same thing as me. But number 5 was Billy Madison, and number 4 was 50 First Dates. So we just swapped those.
Yep.
But yeah, we've already mentioned that. Number 3 was Wedding Singer for all the reasons we already said. My number 2 is Where We Different. And this is just, I love the setting, and I just love it's just a different flow, and it's just go with it. And
Yeah.
Brooklyn Decker's in it, and she's amazing. And this is like one of her first roles. So I remember her on like the Dan Patrick show, and Dan Patrick's in this movie. He's Tanner Patrick. And then the Dave Matthews is in this film. Nicole Kidman is in a role, and it's such a different role for her. She's excellent in this film. But I don't know, Schwartzman, Nick Schwartzman is in this, but it's just one of my favorite films. I literally watch it a couple times a year, and it's just
he's one of the funnier dudes that is very underrated. Not a lot of people know him, but he is so funny.
But I love, and the kids are excellent in this film, and I think that's what really elevates this film is how good the kids are in this film, and which is so rare. Sometimes kids are they're kind of just there, but like these kids are
Park, the original.
Yeah, these kids are extremely funny, and they both have incredible characters for children, and they do such a great job acting. They're very distinct and funny, and I've never seen there's really no weakness when it comes to the cast, and that's why it's my number 2. Again, it's more because I'll watch this over almost every film, even over my number 1. I would say maybe favorite wise, it's my number 1. Like watchable, it's my number 1, but you have to put Happy Gilmore number 1 as his greatest film of all time. But just go with it. I probably watch more and have watched more. I've literally probably seen 100 times already.
It's a good list, Paul.
It is. Okay, well, that leads us to our main event, which is Jurassic Park Dominion. And this is what everybody is tuning in for, Pete. This is the big reveal. And I'm going to go ahead first, just because I think people already kind of know your take on it, because you weren't quiet about it when we started this podcast. But I'm going to tell a couple little stories, and then you can kind of come back with it. I don't have a great review on this film, to be very candid. And I'm going to tell you why. So I saw this on quote unquote opening night, Thursday preview night. I saw the 4:30 show in there, the IMAX, and pretty packed theater. And I sat next to this person, and literally with every flicker of a light, with every snarl of a dinosaur, with every growling sound, this girl flinched and scared. And I couldn't focus.
Distracting.
So distracting. I mean, and Pete, you've seen a movie where they're showing a movie, and it's like say it's a slasher film, and you see like, and then like they cut to the shot, and the person's like, second later. Yeah, like this girl was like auditioning for a horror film or something. She reacted ridiculous to every part of this film. I couldn't stop noticing it. And if I was this girl's boyfriend, I literally would have broken up with her, because like at first it's like cute.
Walk out.
Yeah, at first it's like cute. It's like, okay, cool, she's getting close to me. But then it was just absolutely ridiculous. I'm like, I thought it was literally impossible to sustain that behavior for an entire film, but she did it, guys. She had the stamina of a T-Rex. I mean, goodness sakes, this girl
sounds like you were a part of almost like waiting for like Ashton Kutcher to come out and go, you're being punked right now.
Yeah, it was
testing you.
Insane, this girl's reaction to this entire film. So I mean, if she was reviewing this film, she would probably tell you it's the greatest thing of all time. Yeah, and it was the most suspenseful thing.
So many thrills. And
I'm just going to tell you how I feel, because I feel that's going to tell you ultimately how I feel, because I can't sit here and say, oh my goodness, this is the greatest film of all time. I didn't walk out of this theater thinking, man, that was the best Jurassic Park I've seen. And life is about competition sometime, and obviously we just saw Top Gun Maverick, and when I walked out of that theater, the feelings that I had were just on another level. I did not have those feelings on this, so I think that alone says something to me. When I walked out of Fallen Kingdom, the one before this, I had a good feeling, and I'm like, wow, okay, this was a different take on it. They had a great moral debate within the film. Are we responsible for these dinosaurs? And I think, that film really kind of explored, a great debate when it comes to a lot of this stuff. This film, I was looking forward to, because I felt they set this film up excellent. And I knew it was probably going to be the final one in this chapter, because there's really not much more you could tell in this story.
Let's hope.
But it just didn't hit. And I don't have specifics. I'm going to see it again, but it
Why?
just, for me, because Pete, this is what I do.
Yeah,
and
but
because
point, they missed a huge opportunity.
Yeah,
on the premise of this film.
Yeah, and the trailer looked excellent, and I love seeing like these dinosaurs in a real natural habitat, and then again, like I've read some articles and stuff like that, and the theme of this film is learning to coexist with creatures, because if we don't learn to coexist, then that can lead us to extinction. But they keep kind of going to the well with the greedy entrepreneur or whatever. I think the problem with it is, one, again, you've already told that story. And so this should have been, I think, again, I don't want to get political here, but I think here you could have talked more about government and talked about how greedy government can be, because despite what anybody wants to believe, governments aren't perfect. We've never seen a perfect government. Nobody has. And I think, again, we've already explored the greedy entrepreneur. I get that. And that was the first one. But this one, you could have, I wanted to maybe explore government overreach, or government trying to control everything, and you can't, right? Like, that's kind of the purpose of this film, is,
or even control their approach to this situation. Not one time in this whole saga have we understood, well, what's the government's take on this? How would a government handle actual dinosaurs coexisting with us? Like, what would they do? Would they fuck it up?
Well, and they have those
rally.
Yeah, and they have those scenes with Jeff Goldblum when he's in like a Senate hearing or whatever. But like you're saying,
for 2 seconds,
we don't have these senators that are, self-serving, or or president, or again, like you're saying, we don't really explore that aspect of it. And I think, like you're saying, now that I'm processing this live, I think that's where the story should have went, because again, we've seen, and it's like I said, the movie starts out pretty nice, and I'm like, okay, cool, like I like where this journey is going, and then all of a sudden it just goes back to number 1, number 2, number 3. Like, it's just the same. It goes back to the same premise, and it's not original.
They set it up beautifully to go on this in this direction that you're talking about, and that I'm going to talk about, like having this idea of coexistence, and how you are going to sort of give up your, when I say your humanities, sort of our giant pride, by nature, the way that we conduct ourselves, and the way, we treat the world, and how we view ourselves in it, as always being the number one top dog as a species. And then now we've got this other group of dinosaurs running around with us. And then what do we do about it? Like, how can we coexist with them? There was a huge opportunity missed with this. I really felt like bringing back the original 3 was very intriguing. I thought they could have done so much with that. And again, just like you said, it was almost as if they had this premise, and they started off the movie just like you were talking about, and then all of a sudden somebody came into the meeting, was like, I got this great idea to start it, and then all of a sudden they start writing it, and then like, shit, well, what do we do? What do we do now? Let's just keep doing everything that we've been doing. And I'm going to apologize to everybody, because everything that I've reviewed so far, I love movies, and there's so many movies that I can give you glowing reviews about, but we just haven't seen them lately, and I think this is certainly one of them.
Well, we saw Top Gun Maverick, Pete. You're the only one that didn't see it.
Man, even Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard, who are both really great. I mean, their characters are just they're very boring to me. I don't think that they don't do anything that just jumps off the screen. Well,
in this one, for
gets
sure,
me excited.
This was their least. I mean, again, they're almost relegated to bit roles, and I think, again, they try to do the kind of the combination cast thing, right, where you have the new and the old, and sometimes it works, and I think
It didn't work
ultimately in this one I don't think it worked, because I think ultimately they kind of killed each other, because you just didn't get the depth that you needed from these characters. And
and Jeff Goldblum is so good as Dr. Malcolm. Like he's perfect for this role.
Yeah.
And he was so underutilized. He was just the guy that did little callbacks and little gimmicks and wanted to be that person that makes a line and has the audience either laugh or groan or cheer or whatever it was. But that's really all his character was about.
Yeah. And I think
they get together at the end, Grant and Ellie. I mean, duh.
Yeah.
We all knew that was going to happen. There was nothing exciting. There was nothing that kind of told us anything. I mean, the one scene that I thought was kind of visually kind of cool was when Bryce had to like lower her head in the water, and then that right on top. That was awesome. That was a great scene, but it was more of a shot. You know what I mean? It's like,
I mean, look, there's some good action. There's some great dinosaur sequences. Don't get me wrong. Like, this is not this film is not terrible.
But even
watchable.
Even the CGI for the dinosaurs, I didn't really feel like it was elevated at all. I feel like I've seen it all before. I mean,
well, you have. I mean, they've done such a good, and there is practical too as well. I mean, they did a good blending of practical and not. I think that's the one thing that this movie understands because of Spielberg. In the original, he knew how to blend it. So I think they've always consistently kept that. These shots, you got to use a real one. These ones are the CGI ones. And yeah, there's some excellent sequences with the dinosaurs. Like, again, this is not a terrible film. It's not unwatchable.
No, it's not. You're gonna
and ultimately I think we're both going to say, yeah, go see it. Go see it. I think we're just coming from a standpoint of missed opportunity, and there could have been more here. And I think the more I analyze it, and I can't solve it today because I haven't put that much thought into it, but I think where they really needed to harp on this is the character arcs, because like I said, I think it needed to be more about government overreach, because we've seen that. We've all dealt with the pandemic. The pandemic, I think, could have been the perfect euphemism for this. And I know that Colin Trevorrow mentioned this in his interview, and I know the pandemic affected this film, but I think that's where we could have seen more of. I think that's where the story should have gone, and then we need to see these characters have a different arc. So like you mentioned, Bryce Dallas Howard, she's like the animal rights character, right? And then Ian Malcolm is the chaos theory guy, where it's like, dude, we're messing with, we're trying to play God, we're gonna lose. And then Pratt is basically just
the trainer.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't. I think he could have had maybe some more arc to him, and maybe that's where it needed to go. Grant is
this is all he did the whole movie.
Yeah, Grant.
Don't do it.
Grant is the the career before personal life guy, right? And do a little flopping there, and so that was all right. But again, I think,
and it's fine, but
I just think there needed to be more of a character arc when it comes to these guys. They needed to reinvent, and again, just start with a great script. And I think I don't think they did. Like I said, I think it's a solid, it's an okay script. It's in the hall of okay, but again, where Top Gun Maverick excelled, it was the inverse of characters. Maverick was different than the original. His goals were different, and he had legitimate needs, and the rest of the story tied him in, and that's what made it work so well, which is why, again, it's crushing the box office and has such great reviews, is because there was a legitimate story attached with character needs and the needs fit the actual story of an action film. So, action films are different than, character films, right? Like, we all know this. And a lot of action films don't develop the characters that much. But in a good action film, the characters' needs tie into the overall story arc and the structure of the story. And again, I think that's where this film
just 6 movies later. I mean, you have that much opportunity with your characters, like it
need more time. To me, it needs. Go ahead. Sorry.
79% on Rotten Tomatoes. So it's like
that's pretty good.
A lot of people like it a lot. And again, like as Paul was saying, it's not something that we're telling you not to go see, because it's a fun ride, but don't expect to be kind of blown away by it at all. And I think the opening day, the preview, I think they only pulled in like 15 million or something like that. It wasn't like, not a lot of people went to go see it on the first day.
So Jurassic Park took 18 million on Thursday, and it's on pace to make 142 million, which obviously is not bad.
No, it's great.
I'm assuming the budget's probably 180 for this type of film. That's typically what they're spending on these type of movies, plus another 30 on advertising. Guys, I'm just spitting numbers here. Don't go. Oh, budget 165. Wow, I'm
nailed it. It's good. Basically, it's fun, and that's
basically it's a 200 million out the door. It's a 200 million out the door. It'll easily make that with overseas, so it's going to make its money.
Sure, and it's going to probably want to have somebody revamp it at some point, and it will continue. I just hope that they approach it with a different mindset of, we've done it before, now twice. If we do this again, there's got to be something that makes it more interesting and original. The way that first film did. The first film was so revolutionary in how it came out, and these ones are just
I hope it's several years though, because like I said, I don't think there's a new story to tell here. We need to you'd have to redo the original, but then you have to tell it differently, because the first film was done so well and it still holds up.
Yeah.
Like,
does hold up very well.
You can't just reboot that. You know what I mean? So like, how the Batman is telling different arcs. Like I said, this whole series really delved into, greed and man playing God. I think you need to just go a completely different route. I don't have the idea on the top of my head. I do think governmental type research is maybe the way to go on something like this, and maybe make it like in the 40s or something. Maybe make it more historical. And so, but then again, you don't have the technology. I don't know. I'd have to really put a lot of time into this, which I'm not going to do. But
yeah, we certainly don't need to do it live.
So I think that's it, Pete. I think
thank you.
So again, Hustle is the one we definitely recommend seeing today.
So great.
There's some smaller films, guys. I don't have them off the top of my list, but there's some smaller films I think that came out on streaming. We're going to try and catch up on those. And if there's movies that you want us to see and haven't seen, please comment below as well. Please comment your list. Comment what you think about our list are. Like and subscribe to our podcast. Again, check out the previous 3 episodes. We've done the original Top Gun Maverick, Crimes of the Future. Whew, that was an episode. And now Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. So we've got 5 episodes out now. Check out the previous ones, subscribe, like the whole 9, and catch us next time. So our next episode we'll be doing is going to be Toy Story. We'll be reviewing Toy Story. We're going to have guests. John and Lauren Cardiel will be joining us. They're the kings and queens of Disney films. So, they're gonna be ready to roar on that one. And then next week we have Lightyear, which is a prequel-ish to Toy Story. So that's what we have upcoming. So stay tuned for that, and we'll see you not at the movies, because that's not our line. I guess. And cut.
And cut.
Bing. Thanks, guys.